talk about.
If you have another, please put it in the comments. That was my whole thing. I
There
wanted to
isn't
know
any.
that. I wanted to know
Who
the
else would it
definition.
be? It can't be Glaber Torres. It can't be Zach McKinstry. It's not Spencer Torkelson. It's not Kerry Carpenter. It's not, anybody else. It's not Colt Keith. Sorry. It may have been early on where he was hitting around 300. But because of the power and because of the big numbers that Dylan Dingler at times has put up in a game associated with those powers, he's got 16 home runs, Andy. 16
Yeah,
bombs is
he's
pretty
got.
damn good,
I
right?
I saw since it was. I think it's May 21st. He has 7 home runs. I think that's tied at the most in the league, or at least the American League, with Yordan Alvarez.
Yordan Alvarez has 22 bombs on the year. All right. Kyle Schwarber leads all of baseball. I think he's got 23. Still, Dylan Dingler was 16. The same number as Christian Walker, the same number as Miguel Vargas, the same number as Jordan Walker, the same as Colson Montgomery, who had the game winner last night. It's really impressive. It's a career high for him. I'll reiterate what we said before the season began, and it sure looks like he's going to shatter it. I said, if you could get 20 to 25 home runs from Dylan Dingler, you get the 30 plus from Spencer Torkelson, I feel a little bit better about the right-handed power. Torkelson is not going to give you that, at least not on pace for that, unfortunately. But Dingler has exceeded the power numbers that oftentimes we look at or expect, especially from catchers.
What's Torkelson at right now? Nine home runs, so, I think it is.
Well, I was going to just real quick. I was going to say the thing about that is we always hear that cliche. We hear the cliche that the power is the last thing to come. It's going to be the last thing for Kevin McGonigal. He's got 4. It's going to be the last thing for Max Clark when he gets called up. Torkelson wasn't necessarily the case. And yeah, he's got 9, but that's not necessarily the case for him. But he was considered a power hitter anyway. And you hope it goes up a little bit more. But he needs to, if you're not going to hit well, and he's not hitting well, obviously, with 214 batting average. And if you're not driving in runs, he hasn't driven enough runs, just 25. You better be going yard. And he hasn't been able to do that. But I'm not going to focus on the negative when Detroit posts their 6th win in their last 7 games in a 10-4 final. Overall, there were 8 home runs in the ballgame. I think the first 4 runs were off solo homers. It was wild, right? It was home run derby. Riley Green homered. He went the opposite way. Josh Bell then came up. He went the opposite way. Kerry Carpenter pulled one down the right field line, hit a 2-run shot. So they've climbed to within 8 games in the division because Cleveland lost to Jazz Chisholm and the Yankees last night, who are the first American League team to 40 wins on the season. They've been playing without Aaron Judge, and they've won 3 in a row. They're not the first team to 40 wins because the Dodgers got there, the Brewers got there, the Braves got there, okay? All those teams have 40 plus. Brewers have 41. The Braves have 45. The Dodgers have 43. But the Yankees are the first American League team to win 40 games. The American League continues to show you that it is, as of right now anyway, as of June 10th, it is the weakest of the 2 leagues. There's just not that many good teams. And if you read a lot of national writers, they'll tell you this is the reason the Tigers are reluctant to start trading away any pieces. When do you start to division and league scoreboard watch? At what point do you note, okay, how many games back are we? I told you they're 8. How many games back are they in the wild card? Well, they are 4.5. How much does that matter to you right now? I don't know if it matters much to you, but you know damn well that Scott Harris and company have to monitor that, and they should be.
Right? Yeah, that's going to be their job to figure out. That's going to be the question that we're asking for a while, is what they decide to do with some of these players around the deadline based off
right. For all of those, for those of us who said, this team isn't very good, It's not. You can't deny that. It's just it's a decent team, but it's not a. It's not
the
a
record
really
is
good
still
team.
what the record is.
The record is still what the record is. That's a good point. Yeah, 11 games under 500. But if I also tell you they have to leapfrog Minnesota, who they just pounded, and they have to leapfrog the White Sox, who I want to give credit to because they're above 500, but still not a team that you expected, and obviously Cleveland, you probably have some renewed belief in this team. We'll get to all that and more coming up. We're just getting rolling here on a Wednesday. We're brought to you by Mitchell as well.
Huge here for all the ABC warehouse locations in Michigan. Now, if you're looking for the best prices on TVs, furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more, you need to go to abcwarehouse.com. You can shop there and also shop in person at all ABC warehouse locations across Michigan. For the one close to you, go to abcwarehouse.com. Best deals on TVs, appliances, furniture, and mattresses at all ABC warehouse locations in Michigan.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marx. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marx, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
It's a weird night to begin with. We wait for It's a weird night to begin with. We wait for 2 hours. Both starters had a hard time gripping their splits. And then it just sort of created a night of humidity and the ball jumping. Glad it did on our side. Unfortunately, it did on their side a couple different times, but we were able to limit them to solo homers, which is obviously key in a game like this. But it was definitely an odd night. But never be mad or frustrated after a win, no matter how it went.
That's AJ Hinch talking about the home runs. The home runs have been simply incredible for Detroit. I mean, look at how many they have just in the month of June, right? It's amazing how this team has found its power. What gives you the most hope right now? What is making you start to believe in the Tigers again?
I mean, they're just right now. It has to be the hitting, I think, to me over anything else, because their pitching still hasn't like been A+, I wouldn't say. So that it feels like the bats are finally getting a little bit together, and maybe some of the guys that you were counting on towards the top of the lineup to hit are producing at a high rate, which is good.
Yeah, I think the power has been amazing for them recently.
Yeah, the home runs, man.
I get that. I get that you're not everybody is into, the analytics of OPS and OPS plus and slug and all that other stuff. Sometimes it takes a long time for people to just recognize how a game has changed, how a sport has changed. Okay. But you can't deny that this is a really big part of baseball today. So in order to do that, in order to abide by all that, damn well that your team's got to be part of it. So with that said, I love the fact that Detroit has found its power. They found the extra base hits too. I think they have almost as many home runs as they so far this month as they had extra base hits in May when they mightily struggled. So the beauty of what Detroit is doing right now is that they are combining both. And, of course, getting the starting pitching that they've got is big too. The other thing is Detroit's catching up to stuff. If you looked at last night, Riley Green on his first 3 at-bats, 101.3 miles per hour off the bat, 101 and 112. Those were his first 3 swings. Got a home run, but he had the one hit. The other 2 were smoked off the bat. So they're coming around in that regard. But Troy Melton, I thought there was going to be a really big learning moment for Melton. The 25-year-old 4th-round pick gives up a first pitch home run to Byron Buxton, who's now 3 away from the Twins' record for leadoff home runs in a career. So a very first pitch, boom, gone over the wall. And then Detroit answers back. And then the last thing you want to do is give up the lead your team just got you, or your team just answered the opposition. So what does Melton do? Well, he hits Trevor Larnach. He gets a fielder's choice. And then it's a couple of, weak hits. The bases are loaded with only 1 away. You got the 9 and the 1 hitter due up. And you're thinking to yourself, at least I was thinking to myself, this is where oftentimes, this doesn't mean it's every time, but oftentimes where a young pitcher finds himself, where he's made almost. Because Melton was okay last night. It wasn't great. It wasn't dominant, but he was okay last night. So what does he do? He faces Tristan Gray with the bases loaded and only one away. And I'm not saying this is the biggest turning point in the moment, because Gray struggled last night. He struck out 3 times in 4 at-bats. But this is where a team answers back. You know, Minnesota tries to show its mettle a little bit, and it tries to answer back. 3 pitches, and Melton strikes out Tristan Gray. So there's 2 away. But then you got to face the guy who homered off you to lead off the game, took your very first pitch, and smoked it over the wall for his, 19th home run by Byron Buxton this year, 19 bombs. So a threat, hell of a player, hell of an athlete, having a pretty strong season. You got, like I said, 19 bombs. We're making a lot out of Dylan Dingler's home run power. Byron Buxton's got it too, right? 3 pitches, and he strikes out Buxton. So the bases are loaded, and 6 straight pitches later, he's walking back to the dugout with the game still tied. I thought it was a pretty important, dare I say, defining moment for a guy like Troy Melton. This is not going to define him for the rest of his career. It's not going to define him for the rest of the season, but it does show you something about him. Now, again, gave up another homer a little bit later on, wasn't as sharp as he was in his last outing, but he did get the win. He's 3-0.
Yeah, that's still, I love that point, because that is important for a young pitcher, 100%, to get through things like that. At some point, you got to get put in that situation to get through it, and he did get through it in that situation. So that was good to see. But that's the other.
So it wasn't perfect, but that's okay.
Yeah.
How oftentimes character is revealed when you're up against it, right?
Yeah,
So
for
you
sure.
think for a player in an in-game situation, his first 7 starts, he's 4-1 with a 2.4 ERA.
No, even when he lost the lead last night, 4-3 for a second there, I like how he came back those next couple of batters and just got him right out. Like that, he seems to have the right mindset. That's for sure. Also, it's that point of coming back from losing the lead. That's the reason that the lineup has also been impressing me lately, because it feels like in May they would get a lead, and whenever they'd lose it, that was just the game. It was over right there. They've been able to like bounce back from losing the lead a lot during this little stretch here in June.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, some of that had to do with the bullpen too, but yeah, I would agree with that. With Melton off to this start in his career, again, it's 7 career starts. Let's be careful. But I like what he's got, and I've said I think he's a top-end rotation type guy. Doesn't mean he's a number 1. We'd like to label certain players, but I think he's a top-end rotation type of guy. Only 3 other Tigers have had that low of an ERA, 2.4, and no more than 1 loss through their first 7 career starts. And this is why I say, including with me, yours truly, I'm talking to myself here, pump the brakes to a certain extent. Drew Smiley, 2012, had that type of ERA through his first 7 starts and only 1 loss. Mark Fidrich, 1976, Rookie of the Year. And Herman Pallette, 1922, a guy I like to think I know a lot about the Tigers. Never heard of him. Never, ever heard of him. I pride myself on being a pretty deep Tigers, I don't want to say aficionado, but a deep Tigers knowledge gatherer. Never heard of Herman Pallette. Had to look him up, and there's a reason for that. He only pitched 4 years in the majors and was 2 games above 500 and led the league in losses 1 year with 19. That was his 2nd year in Detroit. The year before, he won 19 games.
So there's a reason to let this play out and pump the brakes.
There's a reason to let this play out. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Last night, Stanley Cup Finals. Man, what a game. Jordan Staal scores twice to lead the Hurricanes to a 5-3 win in Vegas. The Stanley Cup Finals is now all square. If it weren't for the empty net goal, by Ehlers last night. Every game's decided by a goal. That's how good it has been. It's been a really fun game so far. Brandon Bussey made 18 saves. First time in Stanley Cup Finals history that each team has scored 3 or more goals in each of their first 4 games. Bussey is one of the best stories you will find.
Yeah, he's been awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's been really fun to follow.
We will explain on the other side. Also, disappointing news for us golfers in Michigan, and a preview of Game 4 of the NBA Finals that takes place tonight in New York. All that and more coming up here on a Wednesday morning edition of X's and Bros. We welcome your phone calls on the wire hotline, 866-838-4843. You can text us Sports Radio 21000 or join us in the chat here as we stream live on X, Facebook, and on YouTube.
Huge here for the Carmody Brothers and all the Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. They have some huge deals happening every week. Buy one boneless wing, get one free every Thursday. They also have their bottomless appetizers. Groups can get bottomless apps starting at $9.99, and they also have the Pick 6 meal for 2. Get 2 entrees, 2 sides, and 2 drinks starting at $19.99. That's happening at all Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. Huge deals every week.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, this season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun, but roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, P-L-A-N, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
I don't know. I feel like we've had good conversations in the offensive room with the hitting coaches, and some external things have allowed me to do that. Ultimately, you ride the wave when you're feeling good, and put a couple good swings on some balls tonight.
I love the humility, don't you? I put some pretty good swings on some balls tonight. But you think? That's Dylan Dingler, who homered not once but twice, who had 4 knocks, 3 extra base hits, 4 RBIs, and now is on pace for what this is worth because he's got 16 homers on the season. And as far as his RBIs are concerned, Dylan Dingler is, he's climbing that proverbial ladder in all of Major League Baseball among catchers. I don't know where he ranks among overall players. There's not many catchers having a better year than Dylan Dingler right now. Okay. And he's a guy who has, after the 4 RBIs last night, has driven in 48. So he is on pace for roughly 30 plus homers and 100 plus RBIs. If you look at it, and I think personally, Lance Parrish should have been considered stronger for the Hall of Fame. I've always felt that way about Bill Freehan, 11-time All-Star. Bill Freehan won 5 Gold Gloves, folks. Okay. Lance Parrish won 3 Gold Gloves. He was an 8-time All-Star. He won 6 Silver Sluggers at his position. 6. Like if I ask you who's the best catcher you remember growing up, you'll probably say Pudge Rodriguez.
Yeah, for me, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
He won 7 Silver Sluggers. For what that's worth. Okay? I mean, if you're going to try and compare certain players, for me, it was always Johnny Bench. Johnny Bench, I think, was the greatest catcher of all time. 2 MVPs, 14-time All-Star, 10 Gold Gloves, 2 World Series, and a World Series MVP. He was Rookie of the Year. Changed the game. Lane, I can look at stats. I can read stats all night long, and you can do all that stuff. But if Dylan Dingler's at 100 and then 30, 100 RBIs, 30 home runs, if that's the pace, Bill Freehan never drove in more than 84. Never hit 30 home runs. Lance Parrish hit 30 or more twice in his career, drove in 100 runs once in his career. Dylan Dingler's doing this early in his career. It's a tough precedent to set, don't you think? Who's the best catcher well, I shouldn't say right now. I think a lot of people look at Salvador Perez and suggest he's among the best of this recent era. 5-time Gold Glove, 5-time Silver Slugger. Okay, people say automatically he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Lance Parrish has similar accolades, but for some reason couldn't do it. Salvador Perez has hit 30 or homers more in his career twice. He set the single season record for homers by a catcher with 48. An American League catcher, 48. He did that back in 2021. And he drove in 121 RBIs, or drove in 121 runs. He has driven in 100 or more in a career, or in a single season, 3 times in his career. I can't stress enough the challenges. I saw this poll the other day where somebody said the hardest positions in sports: quarterback, catcher, or they had quarterback, then goalie, then catcher. And I don't know if that's necessarily true. I wouldn't totally debate it. I think you could definitely make a case for all that. The thing that the catcher's doing, that the quarterback's not doing, is that when you have to play that position, and it requires the offense mentality, but the incredible focus on every single pitch, you can't get distracted by a beer vendor. You can't get distracted by a pretty girl in the second row. You can't get distracted by the scoreboard going out. You have to be laser focused on every single pitch for that guy on the mound. One mistake, ball could go over the wall. Man on base, one, fleeting moment of no concentration, and a guy steals second base. It's incredible what they have to go through. On top of all that, they're expected to produce the plate. That's why I think you could make the argument that it's the hardest position in sports. Quarterback definitely is very, very challenging, very difficult. Once you don't have the football, you're on the sidelines and you're watching. Goalie, you have to be locked in too. But catcher, you're playing both defense and you're getting ready for your offense.
162 times a year at that.
Well, there's not many catchers.
Oh, yeah, 160,
Yeah,
110, 120 probably.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I just brought up Salvador Perez. He's playing, in his career, most games he ever played was 158. That's a lot.
That's a lot of games.
That's a lot of games. That's a lot of squatting, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I mean, you're doing it. I mean, yeah, okay, 110, 120, whatever Dingler's going to average in his career if he keeps up at this pace. Like, that's still, like, to do that many times a season and have to concentrate and do everything you're talking about, you seriously have to be locked in to be able to do that.
Yeah, I liken certain catchers. I was always a big Bill Freehan fan. Most games he ever called was 155. Huge Lance Parrish fan. Most games he ever called was 155. That's a lot of games for one guy. And when you're doing it over and over and over again, 133, 155, 147, 146. Yeah, that's going to wear on you for sure. But I think it wears on you mentally more than physically. Okay.
That's what seems so great about Dingler too, is he just like a lot of these comments when he gets these interviews and stuff, like he's very, very short, which isn't always isn't the best for the media, and maybe you want to hear more from him, but he just seems like he's so locked into the game, and all that matters is what you're seeing on the field, and he's just been unbelievable right now.
Yeah, he's a leader of this team.
100%. Yeah, like I feel like you're getting that from him.
He's the guy he's one of those guys you're building around. All right. Now, I don't know. When you say that, it makes it sound like the team's incomplete and the team's almost in a rebuild mode. I don't mean it that way. I'm telling you, with Dylan Dingler, Kevin McGonigal, Riley Green, you have three guys there who I think appear to be very good leaders. Yadier Molina is probably a really good example of a more recent player, even though Salvador Perez is still playing. Yadier Molina, I think he had 9 Gold Gloves. He's a Hall of Fame catcher without a doubt, who he will be. He only had 1 Silver Slugger, I might add, but he never had a 30 home run season. He never drove in 100 RBIs. He never had those numbers. And don't take it out of context. I'm not saying Dylan Dingler's better than he is. I'm trying to give you a perspective of how challenging the position itself is in order to have something like that. If you're giving or having this type of the season, if you're looking at certain players or certain positions at certain players, certain guys you look at and you're like, man, I respect the hell out of that dude. Right? I think one of the guys who is still playing, even though it's been a little bit of a struggle for him, is JT Realmuto. JT Realmuto, 3-time Silver Slugger, 2-time Gold Glove winner. Dylan Dingler's already got a Gold Glove, right? Realmuto's most home runs in a single season was 25. The most runs he's ever driven in, 84. And Dylan Dingler's already on pace to be better than that. So I'm not going to try to convince you that he's the second coming of Yogi Berra, but he's starting to carve a path for himself, especially in Detroit catching lore. Not that anybody thought he was going to be Bruce Kim, but I don't know how many people thought he was going to be this good this early. He seems just absolutely locked in. I would remind people, he's got to be a really good athlete. He was a center fielder at Ohio State.
Yeah, I think people forget that.
So just remember that real quick. Let me finish with some of the headlines, because this oftentimes happens to me. Andy's always saying, man, we got to reel it in a little bit with that first hour. He's right. But I go off on these tangents and we barely even get through the update. The Bussey story is phenomenal. Brandon Bussey started last night for Carolina. And what does he do? He goes out and makes 18 saves. It's not like he was standing on his head. Made a couple of really nice saves in deep and had a save on a breakaway of Mark Stone, who's super fast. This dude was undrafted. He played 111 AHL games. He played in 3 different organizations. He was claimed off waivers. And he got 31 regular season wins. It was amazing. Fastest goalie to 11 wins. And he gets the winning start last night. Pretty awesome stuff.
You got a lot of Western Michigan people that are pretty proud right now, too, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, how cool is that? No,
It's
I'm
awesome.
serious. I mean,
It's awesome.
What a fun storyline. This is what sports can bring. I get why some people, when we look at sports, oftentimes we tend to shade toward the negative. Look at what we talked about yesterday. The quarterback at Texas Tech, Brendan Sorsby. A negative aspect. Mike DeCourcy came on and joined us. Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News and of BTN. We talk of the problems that the Tigers have had in not too distant shows that we've had here. What the hell happened with all the reffing going on in Game 3 of the NBA Finals and so on and so forth. Brandon Bussey, who played at Western Michigan, as Andy alluded, what a story. And they interviewed him last night, and they showed a video of his parents watching him, and it got him emotional. He's from Sound Beach, New York, but went to Western Michigan University. So it's amazing stuff for him to be in so many different organizations and finally get the opportunity this year. He started 39 games this year, won 31 games. He was 31-6 this year. Now, the save percentage is not great. The goals against average is respectable at 2.5. The save percentage under 90. That's not where you want to be. I mean, you great goalies are at 92% or better.
Sure.
But either way, it's a phenomenal story. And you fall in love with sports all over again. At least I do when it comes in with that. Spurs try and square up the NBA Finals tonight. Knicks lead at 2-1 after the San Antonio 4-point win Monday night. First loss for New York in 46 games. 46 days. I'm sorry, 46 days. Do you get a sense that, based on what we've seen in the past on how certain games go, you almost predict, like you predicted San Antonio the other day to pick up the win. It's a really good daily wager by Andy McDonald there, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. But today, I'm anxious to hear that in the 8 o'clock hour, because this is one of those things where you feel like, okay, New York's just going to respond. This is the way it goes.
The question I was going to ask you today, if we did talk about the NBA, is like, do you feel like there's more pressure on New York to win this game or more on San Antonio? I feel like I've been thinking about it a lot.
Yeah, I would look. It's one of those words that kind of bothers me at times. I don't think Victor Wembanyama feels any pressure right now.
No, it doesn't seem like it.
I think it's more imperative for New York. You're staring at a 3-1 hole. I don't care who you are. Nobody wants to go down 3-1.
Exactly.
So I know people feel like, well, it's at home and New York's got to protect. New York's already proven they can win on the road.
Nobody's won at home yet.
Yeah. I mean, New York's proven they did it against Philadelphia. They did it against Cleveland. They've done it against San Antonio. Why is there added pressure to New York tonight just to hold serve at home? Because Spike Lee's in attendance? Who gives a rat's tail?
I feel like for me, it's more to keep that lead on the Spurs. Like I feel like to get that 3-1 lead would mean a lot for them to be able to finish.
Well, the worst case scenario is that they're tied at 2. The worst case scenario for San Antonio, they're in a 3-1 hole.
Yep.
So I would think that's probably a little bit more for San Antonio. Well, I mean, we could talk about it. We'll see. After 8 years, the Rocket Classic is no longer going to tee it up in Detroit. This is not a surprise. Okay. Tournament has not had a very favorable position within the PGA schedule. And it hasn't been able to attract big names. And when it did, those big names were done. They didn't even make the cut because many people felt like, including yours truly, they didn't really care. So the Rocket's going to be July 30th through August 2nd. It's too bad. It really is. Basically, I used to cover the Buick Open at Warwick Hills in Grand Blanc every year. So well done. Tiger Woods helped it, of course, because he was a Buick spokesperson and he was there every year, and they would tear that course up and they would just, but it drew a lot of people. They had the U.S. Senior Open at the TPC at Dearborn. That went away. Thank goodness for the Meyer Classic. Thank goodness for the Dow. That's all you got in the state of Michigan. Think about it for a minute. We are a crazed golf state. Andy plays as much as he can probably every day at his country club. I play as much as I can too when the back allows it. You and I both know the tee sheets are full. Everywhere we go, the tee sheets are full.
Yeah, not exactly the country club, the public courses I play, sure. But
yeah, they're all full, right? I mean, you're playing. It can be
It
a
is
long
like
round.
that.
People love golf in this state.
No, for sure. I mean, the amount of leagues that people
So
buy
why
into
doesn't it
now
make
and
it?
play. Yeah.
So why doesn't it make it?
I don't know. It's a good question. It's tough to answer.
I know people who belong to Detroit Golf Club, and they've told me, look, as much as it's helped us, put us on the map and so on and so forth, they don't like not being able to play their course for a long time. It's not just the 4 days, because you're putting up stands and all that other stuff. You can play around that, but it's just a rather inconvenience to hold that on a regular basis, which to me is a little ridiculous. You got plenty of other times to play it, and you've got 2 18s. You can play the other one.
I agree.
So I think that's a little short-sighted.
That's what seems so good about the Meyer LPGA Classic, is that it seems like the members there are very welcoming to having the event every year.
There you go.
Based off my
That's right.
experience.
Yeah. You got to embrace it. So they embraced it early. What impresses me about what's going on with the Meyer Classic is it's been embraced for as long as it has.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. This probably not so much. They want it in downtown. There's no other place you can have it. If you want it in Detroit, you can have it in Michigan, but no other place if you're going to have it in Detroit. You're not going to have it at Oakland Hills because they want majors. That's what they want. It's not about a continuous thing. Oakland Hills could have it. I wish there was one. Who says you can't have a major there as well as a regular tournament stop? But there's not very many other places you could go. I mean, I think Bloomfield Hills Country Club would be ideal, but it's not in Detroit. And who are you going to get to sponsor it and so on and so forth? It's really unfortunate. I think the biggest problem is the PGA schedule. You got players, they're getting ready for the U.S. Open, or they're getting ready for the PGA Championship, or they're getting ready for the British Open, or whatever. And then you've got some of these tournaments that sit in the middle of all that. And when it's sitting in the middle of it, they're like, okay, I'm going to take this week off. I'm going to get my mind right, my game right. I'm going to practice and so on and so forth. It's not worth it to them. That's why the PGA is going to this tier 1 and tier 2 system, and Detroit doesn't want to be part of tier 2, and I don't blame them. We'll get to some of your texts because we got a few already. We'll get to those on the other side. Stay with us on a Wednesday morning on X's and Bros, brought to you by Mitch Lanswell.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marks. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marks, September 3rd, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for the incredible Crystal Mountain Resort in Thompsonville, Michigan. If you've never experienced the mountain, it's unbelievable. They offer up 36 holes of championship golf, Betsy Valley, Mountain Ridge, accommodations, a ton of choices. Go to crystalmountain.com, see everything for yourself. One of the top spas in America. They can handle businesses, small groups, big groups, your buddies, the ladies, and more. Book your getaway now at crystalmountain.com. That's crystalmountain.com.
Hey, West Michigan, Mitch Lyons here. You've heard about our support of Tiger legend Kirk Gibson's fight against Parkinson's disease. Now we have a local opportunity to support West Michigan families affected by Parkinson's too. The first annual Drive Out Parkinson's Golf event, presented by the Grady's Parkinson's Promise, will be held Monday, June 29th at Watermark Country Club. And while the golf is at full capacity, you still have a chance to help support the cause. Mitch Lyons Wealth is the title sponsor, and we'd love to have others join us. If your business would like to support and be represented at the outing, or if you would like to contribute personally, it's easy to do by joining our team today. Just go to birdease.com, that's BIRDEASE.com/driveout Parkinson's to sign up for sponsorship packages or donate today. X's and BrO's and the Huge Show will both do their shows live from the course, and Shep and Huge are playing in the event. Join us in supporting this great cause. A portion of the proceeds will go to Gibby Center, and the rest will support local families. Go to birdease.com/driveout Parkinson's or contact me at mitchlyonswealth.com for more info.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
No, it's awesome. Obviously, we're trying to pass the baton, have that mentality, up and down the lineup, and we got really good hitters up and down the lineup. And I feel like we're just meshing. We're handing it off to the next guy. We're pitching great games. We're hitting the ball, so good things to come.
Well, Dylan Dingler sure as hell hitting the ball. Welcome back. Second hour of the program. First hour flew by here on X's and Bros. Glad you're with us. You can comment in the chat as we stream live on X, on Facebook, and on YouTube. You can text us, Sports Radio 21000. Or you can call us on the Meyer Hotline, 866-838-4843. I'm Matt Shepard, Andy McDonald alongside. Let's get to some of those texts because they deserve to be heard.
Yeah, for sure. So the first one we got here is, would the potential of the new salary cap affect teams for paying for Skubal? I think they will trade or sign Skubal before the trade deadline.
I don't know what the new salary cap would be.
That's the problem, right?
Okay, so that's first and foremost. I mean, if the Dodgers are going to have to get rid of talent in order to meet that salary cap, which again, that therein lies another issue. What do you do if I have Andy McDonald under a 5-year contract and it's pushed my team? He's one of the reasons it's pushed my team over the salary cap. What happens? How do you tell San Diego not to trade for Tarek Skubal? Oh, there's going to be a salary cap next year. I mean, have they thought this through? There's going to be a salary cap this year. You're going to have to trade certain players, right? What if nobody wants them? You talk about the ultimate power. Who holds all the cards? That's what people have been saying about Dylan Larkin, and I disagree with it. But let's just say there's a salary cap, and 6 teams are over it. And I'm a team, Andy's team is over it. Andy needs to get rid of player A. And they call me. I know you're over the cap. I know you're desperate. I know you're going to have to get rid of that player. Then what do you do? Right? How do you make that happen? That's part of the problem with, I don't care if it's Tarek Skubal, but any free agent. It's a bit of an issue that they're going to have to deal with and come to deep discussions about. What was the number? Do you recall, Andy, what the number was that owners put out there as a possible salary cap?
I don't
remember that.
know.
Okay. I forget exactly the number. But I can tell you this. If you're looking at a salary cap, there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to have to make some adjustments. Okay. So if the players, I know the players don't want one. I don't disagree with that. $245 million is what it is.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say.
And a floor of 171. That's what the proposal is. So the 171 floor is more than 14 teams payroll right now.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of teams have to get up to that.
7 teams are over the proposed $245.3 million salary cap. So, with that said, you're going to have to make some moves. How do the 7 teams who are over get rid of certain players with those contracts to another team who may not want that player or need that player, but especially don't want the contract? I haven't read anything that is suggested that they have an easy way to fix that. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Another text. Go ahead.
The other text was pretty simple. Just going back to the catcher situation we were talking about. He just mentioned Joe Mauer, asking if he was one of the better ones.
Yeah, I mean, I like Joe Mauer. Had an opportunity to talk to him a few times while calling games. Remember, they switched him to first base later in his career. Yeah, I don't think he's a Hall of Fame catcher. I don't think he's a Hall of Fame player. Joe Mauer never hit more than 28 homers in a single season and never drove in more than 96. And that was in 2009 when he won the MVP. But Joe Mauer is a Hall of Fame player. Okay. He won 3 Gold Gloves and 5 Silver Sluggers. He did win 2 or 3 batting titles. How many did he win? 3 batting titles. Something to be said for that, too. Not a power hitter from a power position. He played 2 power positions, but he was never super powerful, at least by today's standards. I thought he was a borderline Hall of Famer. I probably would have shaded a little bit no. When you win, again, I go back to Lance Parrish, the number of Gold Gloves, the number of Silver Sluggers. Where's the love there? Batting titles separate you from others. You win 3 batting titles, there's something to be said for that. So good for him. And he hit 347, he had 328, he had 365. He's a lifetime 305 hitter. It's a hell of a job. But he wasn't always a catcher. Good long career. I just, the halls of fame for me have really diminished. And I've made some cases for players who you could argue are fringe Hall of Famers. I get it. It's so subjective with a lot of that stuff. But Joe Mauer is a good example. If you and I were debating back and forth and we started just naming off catchers, great catchers, Joe Mauer would not be one of the first 10 guys I mentioned. That's all. And I understand why some people like him. I mean, people in Minnesota absolutely love him, right? And I understand why, because he's a good dude. He handled things the right way, right? He played the game the right way, and so on and so forth.
That M&M Brothers, like 2 of my first memories of like a combination like that. That was really good.
Yeah, I just don't look when I think this is such old school crap, and I know a lot of people don't like to hear it, but Yogi Berra won 10 World Series, man. I mean, he was an 18-time All-Star. He was a 3-time MVP. What's the standard? I mean, not everybody can play up to those standards, but if you're going to be a Hall of Fame player, Johnny Bench, Yogi Berra, I thought Gary Carter was a great player. He won 3 Gold Gloves. He was a 5-time Silver Slugger. He was an 11-time All-Star. He was outstanding. Carlton Fisk was outstanding as far as I'm concerned. Mike Piazza wasn't a great defensive player by any stretch, but offensively, I don't know if there was anyone more gifted. Ivan Rodriguez, Southfield native Ted Simmons was pretty damn good, right? I don't know anything about Bill Dickey, okay? Mickey Cochran. But Joe Mauer for me was a little bit of a stretch. When people said he was one of the greatest catchers of all time, it wasn't enough for me, okay? But I'm biased. I'm biased toward Lance Parrish and Bill Freehan, who I don't think get enough credit. If I wanted to look at just one side of the ball, like I thought Jim Sundberg was a really good catcher back in the day, but he wasn't a very good offensive player. Mike Piazza was a great offensive player, wasn't a great good defensive player. That's why it's really hard to be able to do both. And by saying all that, Joe Mauer should be in that conversation because of what the texter had pointed out with Joe Mauer, just a really good offensive player. Via the stream from Joe, Mauer is old school and the catcher of his generation, got his team to the playoffs a ton, just could never get past the Yankees. Well, he had some help. I mean, Justin Morneau was a pretty damn good player too, don't you think? Yeah.
Yeah, he was a great player.
Yeah. So I get it. I don't know if would you call him old school? Might be a little much. There are certain players, I think, in sports that burn in your memory for certain things that they do or have done. Benito Santiago was an unbelievable catcher. I don't know if you've ever watched him, Andy. He would throw from his knees. He had one of the greatest arms of all time. Manny Sanguillen back in the day for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Rick Dempsey back in the day for the Baltimore Orioles. You could go on and on and on about certain players that just, for some reason or another, there are certain guys that are, why do I remember, Omar Moreno? I don't know, but there are certain players in certain sports that do that. Perhaps Joe Mauer will eventually be one of those guys because he and Morneau, the M&M brothers, were, those leaders for some really good Minnesota teams. Good. We appreciate the feedback. Really do. We got some more texts that we'll get to on the other side. We're brought to you this hour by our friends at Meyer. Stay with us on a Wednesday morning.
Our state is Mecca for golf, and one of Michigan's crown jewels is Tullymore and St. Ives. 2 world-class championship courses in one charming and beautiful location. The golf is challenging but fair. You're going to use every club in your bag. But let me tell you what makes Tullymore really special. It's the people. From the wait staff to the bartenders to the pro shop and the management, their sole purpose is to give you a memorable experience, and they do. Go to TullymoreGolf.com today and experience a Michigan masterpiece.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Huge here for my good friend Josh Garvey and the team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan, one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms. Their worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. And Josh and his team connect with all the sports fans and businesses across Michigan. They bring you John Beeline on the Huge Show. They bring you Lomas Brown during the Lion season. They are a top shelf team when it comes to growth and understanding what their clients need. And mix in when we do the Beat Huge contests or the NCAA March Madness brackets. Thank you, Josh Garvey, for what you do for the Huge Show and the Michigan Sports Network. Simple and easy. Just find Dorn Mayhew on all the social networks or just Google Dorn Mayhew and find out how they can help your business. And again, a special thanks to Josh Garvey and the Dorn Mayhew team in West Michigan.
18 after the hour. Welcome back, X's and Bros. You got a pretty emotional text here coming up. Andy, you and I both love golf. We've talked about it a lot. It's disappointing what's going on with the Rocket Classic. Hats off to the people at the Dow who keep it going. Looking forward to being at the Meyer Classic later on this month as well. You know, in a week, is it a week? It's the 18th. So today's the what? Today's the 9th? Today the 9th? 10th? 10th.
His 10th.
So, okay. So not this next week is the U.S. Open. And it's at Shinnecock. I saw this from a U.S. Open golf account. Shinnecock has hosted the U.S. Open 4 times in the last 100 years. Okay. A total of 520 different players have played in those events. In the 4 U.S. Opens that it's had, 520 players have played in. Doesn't mean they all made the cut, obviously, but 520 players have played in it. Guess how many have finished even, par, or better? Of the 520 over the last 100 years at the U.S. Open at Shinnecock. Not any regular tournament, not playing around with Andy and his buddies while drinking 6 beers because you didn't make it past the ladies' tees. How many of those 520 in the 4 U.S. Opens have broken even or par?
Of the 520 players?
520 players have played in those 4 U.S.
Making
Opens.
sure I get this right.
Okay.
520. So then how many have broken even or shot par?
How many have either hit level or in red numbers of the 520?
I'm going to guess really low, and it's probably going to be wrong. I'm going to guess like 80.
3.
Wow, see, that's insane. And
Floyd,
I knew
Ray
it was hard
Floyd,
to do that, but that's
I can't even imagine. I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't want to play that course. It'd probably take the fun right out of it.
Oh my
Ray
God.
Floyd in 1986 shot a 1 under. Phil Mickelson in 2004 was 2 under. And Retief Goosen in 2004 was 4 under. If you're Mickelson, aren't you going, are you effing kidding me? I'm
Seriously.
at the U.S. Open. I got a chance to win it. 2 under par is a good score. And I'm one of 3 guys in the history of this golf course during a U.S. Open to break par. And another guy who did it wins the tournament, does it the exact same year. How frustrating must that be? Let me get to a couple of texts. Shep, regarding Dylan Dingler, a 2nd-round pick out of Ohio State by Alavila. That's right. He was an Alavila guy. We say this pretty regularly. I'm not saying, and I don't think the texter is either, but if you looked at the lineup last night, Dingler was a Avila pick, Carpenter was an Avila pick, Green was an Avila pick, Torkelson was an Avila pick, Keith was an Avila pick, Melton was an Avila pick. Again, not saying that he should be back in charge. I'm pointing out something that, in case you were wondering, that's all. Okay. All right. Thank you. From our good friend, Freddie, I always get surprised how many people who go online and say what prospects they should trade in hockey trades. Not many of them watch minor league hockey, let alone college hockey, to know any of those prospects. I don't watch them either, ever. So he's not proposing trades. I agree with him. Baseball's the same way. You don't know the guys in the minor leagues. Like, you'll read about Max Clark, but you also know that he was a 1st-round pick, so you think he's really important. I don't know if you want to trade him or not. I wouldn't. But most of the players you're hearing about, you don't know unless it's a 1st-round pick or there's maybe some writing taking place about them. You know how at the beginning of the year when everybody goes down to spring training and in Lakeland, you come away. I'm here every single day. I've got to justify my existence, so I'm going to write a bunch of stories about a lot of different guys. Just the way it is. It's okay. We want to read about them, so there's nothing wrong with that. But that's how you hear about minor leaguers. Same thing in hockey. You don't know how good that Mazur's going to be, or Danielson's going to be, or Bear's going to be, or any of these guys. Even if you are in Grand Rapids and you're watching them play, how many guys right now are you super excited about to see when they play for the Red Wings on a regular basis?
I'd say for sure one.
Who is
Michael
Branson
Branson
Nygaard?
Nygaard. Yep, I'm very excited
Okay.
to see what he can do next year. I think
Sandin Pellikka, you're not?
he may end up still getting more development this year. I wouldn't be shocked about that, but I do think I think he's gonna start with the Red Wings, and they'll see where it goes for sure.
Okay.
They're not gonna have a choice. If they end up, selling off. Who knows what's gonna happen here? But
Right. You're not excited about Nate Danielson? Dude's 9th overall pick.
Yeah,
That tells you something, right? I mean, he's right about this. You don't know.
You don't know.
He's supposed to be, quote unquote. And he's only 21, so you're not going to give up on him. I'm just saying, at some point, there's a reason Steve Eisman didn't want to give up certain guys. His eye test is better than mine, and it's better than yours, with all due respect.
100%. Yep.
Okay. But I don't have to be a Hall of Fame hockey player to recognize how good Quinn Hughes is either. But you don't know how good certain guys are going to be. Carter Mazur, how good's he going to be? Don't know. It's one of those situations where baseball and hockey are so unique from football and basketball. Although I would argue most people had no idea how good Danish Jenkins was going to be for the Pistons this year. Don't tell me you went and watched him play for the Motor City Cruise. There's not many people walking into Wayne State's arena going, "Why are you here today?" I'm taking the kids. We're going to see some, minor league basketball games. All right. Just doesn't happen. And the same thing with football. You're not going to Allen Park for one of the open practices. I want to see that guy. Why? He's going to be on the practice squad. Super. That's awesome. I'm going to go watch that guy battle because I think he could be the backup at left guard. Oh, that's great. All right. Son, keep your eye on that guy right there. Who is he, Daddy? That's Miles Frazier. Yeah, who's he? He could be the backup right guard, left guard, or maybe even a tackle. Thanks, Dad. Go get me some cotton candy, please. Shep, this team can't trade Scooble and buy small and possibly still win. I don't think they'll trade Scooble. Scott Harris is clearly scared of what will be said about him if he fails the trade. Fire him. He sucks. Okay. I don't think he's scared. Why would he be scared of what's being said about him? I think management in every sports franchise recognizes what is said. But that doesn't mean that they're scared, because they also understand this. They're never winning certain people over. With all due respect, Scott Harris is never going to win you over, Freddie. Certain guys are never, ever going to win certain fans over.
Yeah, I think a World Series would probably be the only way that it would ever come they did it right. Okay.
And I don't even know if that's
the
case.
maybe not even that, because some people are so stuck in opinions.
Scooble may win game 5 and you're celebrating. Riley Green may have been MVP and you're going to go, those are both Alavila guys. I mean, he's not wrong. I'm just saying.
That'd be a crazy way of looking at it, yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard. I've said this ad nauseum in sports and in life. It's hard to win people over once you've lost them. There's nothing you can do. Okay? Sorry, there isn't. Jalen Duren is not going to win certain people over because of what happened in the playoffs, unless he becomes the second coming of Victor Wembanyama. Or how about this? Moses Malone with the Sixers in 1980. Was it 82? Probably not.
Yeah, you think about
Moses Malone and Julius Erving are the only ones who had that road bump between the Lakers and the Celtics before the Pistons did it later on in the decade. He ain't winning you over. All right. Riley Green's having a hard time winning people over. Even though he's having a really good year, he's going to be another all-star. It's going to be hard to win him over because they're deadlocked on the 202 strikeouts from a year ago.
And he clearly put in a lot of work to work on his at-bats too, and it still feels like people just can't get over it. But.
Right. Look at how hard it was for Tobias Harris. We'll be back after this. This is X's and Bros, and we're brought to you by Meyer.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Huge here for my good friend Josh Garvey and the team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan, one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms. Our worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. And Josh and his team connect with all the sports fans and businesses across Michigan. They bring you John Beeline on the Huge Show. They bring you Lomas Brown during the Lion season. They are a top shelf team when it comes to growth and understanding what their clients need. And mix in when we do the Beat Huge contests or the NCAA March Madness brackets. Thank you, Josh Garvey, for what you do for the Huge Show and the Michigan Sports Network. Simple and easy. Just find Dorn Mayhew on all the social networks or just Google Dorn Mayhew and find out how they can help your business. And again, a special thanks to Josh Garvey and the Dorn Mayhew team in West Michigan.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Okay, back with you, 35 after the hour. Thanks for being with us on this Wednesday. This is X's and Bros throughout the great state of Michigan. We appreciate the opportunity to talk sports with you, whether you're listening in Cadillac or Grand Rapids or Kalamazoo or Holland. Maybe you're listening to us in Petoskey, Charlevoix, Traverse City, Lansing. Maybe you're streaming us live on X, YouTube, or Facebook. However it is, thank you for the opportunity. Via text, Shep, how would Scott Harris win anyone over? He hasn't done a thing since he's been here to win games. He inherited the greatest pitcher in baseball the last few years, did nothing to build around him, make this his own team. He even inherited the manager. All fans say is these players would have never developed under Avila, which I think is a crock of crap. I don't know. I've never heard fans say that. I trust you when you say that because you've obviously heard it. If they're saying that, it's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's short-sighted, and it's prejudged. And flat out wrong, because the development people, a lot of the development people who were under Avila are still here. Ryan Garco, for example. How does he win you over? Well, can I defend him for a moment? It's not like I'm a huge fan, okay? But can I just defend him? I try to look at things as objectively as possible. They've made the playoffs the last 2 years. And I know what you're going to say. Last year, they blew a big lead. Well, the year before, they came from way back down. So it kind of offsets, perhaps. Inherited the manager? Yes. Did sign him to an extension. And let's face it, there's a lot of general managers who come into sports situations and feel like I've got to have my guy. To be able to keep the guy says something. Athletic directors do the same thing. They'll come in and they're like, got to have my guy. I'm going to move this guy out, even though the guy may be successful. What Scott Harris could have done is he could have easily said, you know what? This is my ship now. I'm not going to hang on to any holdovers. I know I'm stretching it a little bit, but he could have gone out and gotten his own manager. He has, what has he done? This is a hard debate for me to have. The draft of McGonigal is obvious, okay? Acquiring Veerling and a utility player for Gregory Soto, signing a guy like Zach McKinstry, who, you know, he's okay. He was an all-star a year ago, Silver Slugger. That's what they'll tell you. Hasn't done enough as far as I'm concerned. I'm giving you some examples, okay? Signing Framber Valdez, I thought was a really good move. In addition to that, let's not forget, there are certain situations you have where you promote certain guys. Those guys have to earn it for sure, but you bring guys up, and with your manager, you're giving them playing time and you're giving them a vital role. Dylan Dingler's a really good example. It may not be his draft pick, but to get him at the major league level at the right time and then give him the opportunity, which he's earned over and over and over again, is pretty important. So I don't want to make too much of it. This is a hard debate for me, but if you had to, you could do that. The thing about it is, all I'm saying, I'm sure you have a player. Who is that player? Who's the athlete who can't win you over? We all have them. If you love golf, it may be Patrick Reed. I think the guy's a cheater. Why? That's what I've read. People have accused him of that. Okay. Who is it? Maybe it's your own home team. Or it could be Josh Naylor after what he did over the weekend with Seattle. That may be the guy. I don't think it's ever the guy who beats your team. I think you respect that guy.
Yeah,
so back
I agree
in the
with
day.
that.
Yeah, yeah, back in the day. Oh my God, George Brett's up again. Oh my God, man, I hate this guy. Well, you don't hate him. You want him on your team. You just hate what he does to your team because he's a Tiger killer.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So Aaron Rodgers, I hate that guy. Did you hate him or just hate the fact that your team could never beat him? Maybe later on in life you didn't
I was
like
going
him.
to say Aaron Rodgers is given
Yeah,
some off-field
right.
reasons for sure.
Right, some off-field reasons. But don't give me the whole, I'm immunized stuff, please. I mean, we can get past that now, I would hope. It's just the way a guy may act, which is interesting because he wears the belt and screams at Chicago Bears fans, which is actually pretty funny because he owns them. And people will hate him, but they'll love Ricky Henderson, who slides headfirst into third base, holds the base above. He says, "I'm the greatest of all time." Okay. There's something about a certain athlete or a person or a general manager or a manager or a coach that you just can't stand because you look at him or you hear about something that he did and you feel like that's the wrong way to do it. Matt Patricia saying stuff to the Lions. He didn't say it publicly. I don't like him. But in private, he said, "You know what? I'm a winner. You guys are losers." That's bullcrap. You don't say that to people. You don't say that to try and inspire somebody to play for you. Although fans say it. You have buddies who say that. I'm not defending Matt Patricia by any stretch. In way over his head. Never thought he should have been hired in the first place. Thought they should have kept Jim Caldwell. He said stuff that fans say all the time. How many times, Andy, have you had a conversation with a fan who says, "You know what I would do? I would just do this, 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 this." Oftentimes they'll tell you, "No, you wouldn't." "I'd cut them all." "No, you wouldn't." "I'd bench them all." "No, you wouldn't."
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can't, right? But what you would love to say is, "You guys suck. You guys aren't winners." That's what a lot of fans would tell you they would want to say or they would say, even though I don't believe
they wouldn't say when
Matt
they're
Patricia
though,
actually did say it.
Right.
And it shows you where it got him.
Not very far, that's for sure. The one player that's it's interesting for me, you mentioned like you can't get over, I guess, or you can't get over something that they've done. It really has nothing to do with him as a person because I think he's probably a decent guy or whatever, but it's still just Javi Baez for me. It has been since they signed to that contract because that season I had so much hope and I thought they were going to be so much better. And just to watch him swing and miss that same pitch every single time. And just
slider.
And even though he has become like a usable player now, he still never has lived up to what they paid him. Is that his fault that he got paid that much? Probably not. But it's the fact that he still swings and misses that pitch sometimes. He never will live up to what they paid him. And I feel like that was a major setback for them for a minute.
Yeah, he's not a $25 million a year player.
Exactly.
There's no question about that. I never thought he was. Remember this. When they signed him, and people were going crazy, when they signed him in 2022, was it?
Yep.
2021 for the 2022
Eduardo
season.
and him were like the two big signings.
He led the league in strikeouts. He had 184 strikeouts the year before. That's what he did. Now, he hit 31 homers, which was great. People aren't looking at averages, 265, but he led the league at home in strikeouts. And I said that at the time. I said to people, look, man, I mean, what do you think you're getting?
That's exactly.
This is why you have to be realistic. Before you get a player, what are you expecting from the player? Do you actually, is it just a name? Is it just the flash that you notice? What is it about the player that makes you say, I'm so fired up that this team has him? Or are you looking at it realistically? Did you expect him, to suddenly change his ways? He comes to the Tigers and you don't think he's going to give you swing and miss? Were you watching him at all when he struck out 167, 156, and 184 times the 3 years prior coming to Detroit? Or are you just one of those people who just go, boy, there's 5 shortstops on the free agent market and we're going to get one of them. I'm just super excited to get any one of them because you haven't had a decent shortstop in forever.
I wish we were talking at that time because I had the same views as you coming in with him. Like I said it to everybody that was in my life that I talked to about sports. The point that was the one that I wanted the least. And when it happened, I wasn't going to just try to be the most negative guy in the world and be there's no way this is going to work out because I knew I could be wrong, but he strikes out that many times and he hit 30 home runs, but he's coming to a park like Comerica Park after that too. Like it's
exactly.
just not, there was so much that was wrong.
So many people thought, you know what? He's going to give us 34 homers, 111 RBIs like he did in 2018 or 19 or whatever it was with the Cubs. And I'm like, he's not doing that.
No.
First of all, that's the exception to the rule because both were career highs. And second of all, like you said, he's going to play half his games in a cavernous park.
And that lineup had Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant that were playing at some of the peaks of their career. There were so many things. And he put him with what? Spencer Torkelson trying to make his his league debut. There were so many things that were wrong with that signing. But
yeah, excellent point. Excellent point. He's got William Contreras. He's got Anthony Rizzo. He's got Chris Bryant. He's got Kyle Schwarber, who's in the lineup then too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an excellent point by you. I get why it's Baez. Baez is pretty much hasn't hit the way I thought he would. Has made too many throwing errors, more than I thought he would. But has been pretty much the guy I thought he was going to be.
I can appreciate what he's done the last 2 years after how bad he was, at least. Like, he's made himself usable, and he's not been, like, toxic in the locker room by any means. Like, he's been a part of a couple of the seasons where they've actually done some things.
No, he has players like him.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't want to hate on him for that part of it. That's what makes it tough. But
but here's my issue. With the Cubs, he was a 22 WAR player. Total. 8 years there. All right. So that means you're on average now, you're close to a 3 WAR player, 2.8, whatever. That's really good. With Detroit, in the 5 years he's been here, he's a 3.6 WAR player. What does that tell you? Every year, 1 year, the first year he was here was the only year, which is funny because that's when everybody judges him.
Seriously.
Was the only, because he was batting 238. But that year, he was a 2.4 WAR player. That's all-star caliber stuff. After that, 0.8, -1.2, 2 point, and then -3 to 0.3 this year. He's a 3 WAR player in Detroit. Nobody would have expected that much of a step.
No, it's
in
insane.
a 5-year span.
Yeah.
Right. So I get it. I get it with you. There's certain players you're just like, sorry, I just don't like him that much. I don't think he's that good. It's not that you root against him.
No, I absolutely don't.
Right. I know you don't. But if he doesn't play well, it's like, okay, I told you we should move on, and we haven't. Anyway, let me get to this real quick. This is from the Sporting News, and don't ask me why it bugs the hell out of me, but it does. The Sporting News crafted an all-time NHL team with the best players in hockey history, is what they wrote. All right. So they believe this is the way. All-time NHL hockey team, best players in history based on their best seasons. All right. They are celebrating the Sporting News' 140th anniversary, and they're looking at some of the greatest individual seasons of 21 NHL players to make the roster. How many Red Wings do you think are on this?
Gosh, you'd think at least like maybe 3.
Some of the greatest hockey players in the history of the sport have played with a winged wheel sweater.
100%, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm guessing, that's why I'm guessing only 3 maybe, just because they.
Who would they be?
Oh. That's tough. Well,
there's 2 for sure that should be on it. And there is absolutely no doubt there are 2 for sure. It's Gordie Howe and it's Nick Lidstrom. Both are considered not just top 10 at their position. They are considered the top 10 players in the history of the sport. You can debate certain guys, but you're always going to mention Wayne Gretzky. You're always mentioning Mario Lemieux. You're always mentioning Bobby Orr. You're always mentioning Gordie Howe, and you're always mentioning Nick Lidstrom. If there's anybody who would overtake Bobby Orr as the greatest defenseman of all time, with all due respect to Raymond Bourque and Paul Coffey and players like that, it's Nick Lidstrom.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. Here's who they have as left wingers. This is the Sporting News now. Jaromir Jagr, Alexander Ovechkin, Luc Robitaille, and Bobby Hull. Okay. Again, one single season, the greatest of that position. At center, Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Connor McDavid, Phil Esposito. Esposito is very debatable. Okay. Remember, Steve Yzerman's a guy who's considered
you have to put Steve in the conversation. Yeah.
He's considered a top 15 player of all time. Right wing, Mike Bossy, Brett Hull, Teemu Selanne, Maurice Richard. No Gordie Howe. No Steve Yzerman. No Sergei Fedorov. I'm not trying to be a homer here. I'm just telling you, those 3 players I just mentioned are 3 of the greatest players in the history of the sport. Top 25 for sure. I'm not saying they should replace any one guy. Okay. Luc Robitaille has some Red Wings ties there. Brett Hull, some Red Wing ties there. but neither one are considered Red Wings. Is that fair? Okay.
Yeah.
So basically no Red Wing. If you're going to put one of them in there, it's got to be Gordie Howe. How is Gordie
I
Howe
don't
not in
understand
there?
how Gordie Howe's not in there.
Okay.
That's
So
nuts.
immediately credibility shot. Defenseman, Bobby Orr, Chris Pronger, Paul Coffey, Erik Karlsson, Dennis Potvin, Cale Makar. Again, based on one single season. Okay. So I'm trying to be a little bit understanding of what the Sporting News is trying to do.
Yeah, their best year, right?
Okay. Their best year. Now, Nick Lidstrom's an automatic Hall of Famer. He won 7 Norris trophies. At one year, he had 80 points. Remember, this is a guy who is a plus 450 player. He had 1 year where he was a minus player in his career. Of the 20 years that man played the sport, he was one time in his career, he was a minus player. And that was at the age of 40, where he was a -2. And by the way, that year, he pumped in 16 goals. For a defenseman, that's pretty good. Anyway, here's who else. So here's who else they have. So there's no Red Wing there. And Paul Coffey, a cup of coffee with the Red Wings. Goaltending, Hasek, Brodeur, Bertie Parent. Hasek, a Red Wing. And his best year, they have him with the Wings, 97-98. So, in other words, Brett Hull's best year, not with the Wings. Luc Robitaille's best year, not with the Wings. Paul Coffey's best year, not with the Wings. It's with the Oilers. And Dominik Hasek, that 1 year with the Wings. Like no Terry Sawchuk? Okay. I mean, maybe it's too far back. For some, it's you're reaching there, Shep, because you're a Red Wing fan. It's not that I'm reaching. I'm sure he was in the conversation. Okay, Terry Sawchuk won 4 Stanley Cups with the Red Wings. He's a Hall of Famer. Okay, led the league in wins 5 consecutive seasons. 44 wins, 44, 32, 35, 40. You're trying to tell me that a guy who won 44 games and had a goals against average of 1.9. 1.9. That's not one of the best seasons. I think you lose all kinds of credibility. This is what happens when you put together all-time great lists and so on and so forth. So I get it, but man, it's hard. It's hard to debate that Gordie Howe or Nick Lidstrom don't belong on that list. Quite honestly, I think it's asinine, and it's one of those ones where as soon as you start reading that, you're like, okay, I'm done. I can't do it anymore because it bugs the hell out of me. When we come back, what's the biggest question for Jared Goff? And of all the quarterbacks who don't have Super Bowls and need one, where does he rank? We'll get into that on the other side of X's and Bros here on a Wednesday morning, brought to you by Meyer. Thanks for being with us.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for the incredible Crystal Mountain Resort in Thompsonville, Michigan. If you've never experienced the mountain, it's unbelievable. They offer up 36 holes of championship golf, Betsy Valley, Mountain Ridge, accommodations, a ton of choices. Go to crystalmountain.com, see everything for yourself. One of the top spas in America. They can handle businesses, small groups, big groups, your buddies, the ladies, and more. Book your getaway now at crystalmountain.com. That's crystalmountain.com.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
Final hour of the program. Thanks for being with us on a Wednesday. Funny, somebody said via text, Lions fans hate Aaron Rodgers because he mocks the Bears. Lions fans mock the Bears and Ben Johnson every day. If Goff did it, they'd love it. That's so true. The only thing I would say to that is I don't think that's why Lions fans hate Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it has anything to do with mocking the Bears. I think they think that's funny that he mocks the Bears. I think it has everything to do with breaking Lions fans' hearts and a guy who can be the way he asserts his leadership. Some fans have a problem with, bitching at certain players on his own team for not lining up or running the wrong route or whatever. You know what I mean? So I don't think, I think that's what rubs some people the wrong way. It's funny. Peyton Manning and Tom Brady go up and down the sidelines and will say certain things to certain players. We don't always know what it is unless they're mic'd up. I don't know how Jared Goff handles that, because when you're looking at Hard Knocks or Quarterback, that series Quarterback, did you watch that, Andy? Every year they pick out different quarterbacks. Okay. Yeah. So Jared Goff is talking with Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's trying to figure out what type of Super Bowl touchdown dance they're going to do. And Jared Goff's like, I'm not even thinking about that right now. Right. So that's how we view them. We view Aaron Rodgers as a jackass because on the field, he's telling a certain player to be on a certain side or complaining. What the hell are you doing? Don't do that to me, bro, when a big offensive lineman jumps on his back. That's what people, I think, I'm generalizing here, don't like about him. I think he's been an unbelievable player, a first ballot Hall of Fame player for a long, long time. I think he's in the conversation as among the greatest quarterbacks you and I have ever seen. Don't get lost in what he did at the Jets or what he did with Pittsburgh. Remember what he did in Green Bay. And that's why I think when certain athletes stay too long, it bothers us because those are your lasting impressions. And what you should be remembering is how great they were when they played at their peak. So you don't want to remember Jerry Rice as a member of Seattle. You don't want to remember Ken Griffey Jr. as a member of the Cincinnati Reds. Or O.J. Simpson as a member of the San Francisco 49ers. Willie Mays. You want to remember Willie Mays for how great he was with San Francisco, not with the Mets. So those are the things I think sometimes get in our way a little bit. Remember Aaron Rodgers and how great he was with Green Bay. I think that's what bothers quite a few people. Speaking of quarterbacks, read this the other day. It was a very interesting article and one that I wanted to share with you. And that is, A, the biggest question for Jared Goff, and B, where does he rank among quarterbacks who need a Super Bowl? But let's first address this part of it. The biggest question for him. You and I both know that this team was, let's just say it, they were underachieving and they were disappointing a year ago. Jared Goff admits as much. Listen to what he said.
Some capacity, yeah, there's some things like that maybe, but we're always trying to get better. We're always trying to improve, and I think we are hungry. We were a fourth place team last year, and we need to come out and play a lot better this year.
Really good from OTAs. What's the biggest question with Jared Goff? If you had to pinpoint one thing going into this season, what concerns you most or what is the most important? ESPN put this out the other day, and it was what the big question is for every quarterback in the National Football League. Here's what they have for Goff. Will new offensive coordinator Drew Petzing get Jared Goff back to his 2024 level? Okay. Because they went 15-2, right? All right. Well, do you think Jared Goff was a problem a year ago? Do you think the offense was a problem a year ago?
He was not the main problem,
okay.
or even close to the top problem.
Yeah, but. And I'm not ripping on ESPN here. I think it's a legitimate question because the connectivity with John Morton would seem to be absent. All I'm wondering is, and it's not always just about numbers, okay? Jared Goff in 2024, when they went 15-2, threw for 4,629 yards. Last year, he threw for 4,564. In other words, he threw for 65 yards fewer than the year before. He threw 3 fewer touchdowns and 4 fewer interceptions. On top of that, from a percentage standpoint, at 72.5% in 2024, last year he was at 68%. Still pretty good. The offense was still pretty damn good. First downs were down a little bit last year compared to the year before. He had led the league in first down passes in the previous 2 years, 2023 and 2024. All right. Success percentage, much higher in 2024. I guess my question would be, I don't think that's the big problem with Jared Goff. What do you think it is? It's not that it isn't legitimate. My biggest issue will be, how are you going to protect him?
Yeah, he got sacked the most times in his career last year. That's what I was going to say the whole time during that. He put up those numbers while getting sacked the most in his career.
That's right.
And we all know he's not the fleetest of foot, so to still be able to put up those numbers is pretty good.
And by the way, just to remind myself and you, he gets sacked quite a bit because of that. He was sacked 38 times last year, as Andy pointed out, more than any point in his career. The first year in Detroit, he was sacked 35 times. In 2024, where ESPN says, is he going to be able to get back to that level? He was sacked 31 times. He's a guy who's going to take sacks. Each of the last 3 years, 30, 31, 38. 30, 31, 38. Want to put that in perspective? Everybody thinks Aaron Rodgers is an old man, right? Aaron Rodgers is not the kind of guy. Okay. Last 3 years, 20, 30, and 32 being sacked. Last 3 years of him actually playing. Okay. In other words, he gets sacked less than Jared Goff. And it's not like he's mobile like he used to be back in the day with Green Bay when he was winning MVPs. So, again, this comes back to what I say pretty constantly. It's about expectations. I don't expect Jared Goff to be able to outrun blitzing linebackers, safeties coming up the B gap on a surprise blitz, or even fast defensive ends if they flush him from the pocket. That's not going to happen. You're hoping that the timing is a little bit better, that he gets the ball out quicker, and so on and so forth. I'm hoping that the pocket is a little bit more controllable for the Lions' interior offensive line. He's allowed to step up into the pocket. That's when he's the best. Or to put it plainly, less pressure in his face. Pressure's coming. My God, man. Of course we know that, right? We expect our guy, Aiden Hutchinson, this year, Derek Moore, to bring pressure, do we not? So, of course, anytime you're playing somebody, if you're playing the Rams, you don't think you're going to get pressure from Myles Garrett? You better damn well believe you are. It's, can you make the right call out of that and make sure the ball is out of your hand quicker than he can get to you? Can you step up into the pocket to buy yourself a little bit more time if you're not a mobile quarterback? And there's not many mobile quarterbacks who are going to outrun him anyway in a short period of time from the spot to getting away from him outside the tackle to try and make something happen. He's going to chase you down. Where do you think Goff ranks in terms of quarterbacks who need a Super Bowl, quote unquote, need a Super Bowl? We'll get to that on the other side. We're glad you're with us on a Wednesday morning. This hour of X's and Bros is proudly brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
In the den. It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. A.J. Hinch has always preached in his years in Detroit that his teams take one game at a time. Not a great quote and perhaps a little bit cliche, but it is true. Knowing that, it's hard to suggest a series in early June is big, but considering what the Tigers have done against their AL Central foes, you might recognize why some believe this 3-game set against Minnesota is really important. Going into the rain-delayed Tuesday night first pitch, the Tigers were just 4-13 within the division, all 4 wins against Kansas City, by the way. That is by far the worst intra-division record of any team in the American League. In fact, only the Reds have a worse intra-division record in baseball. Considering the Tigers play 8 of their next 11 against AL Central teams, this sprint against the Twins is more vital than maybe you originally thought.
Huge here for the Carmody brothers and all the Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. They have some huge deals happening every week. Buy one boneless wing, get one free every Thursday. They also have their bottomless appetizers. Groups can get bottomless apps starting at $9.99, and they also have the Pick 6 meal for 2. Get 2 entrees, 2 sides, and 2 drinks starting at $19.99. That's happening at all Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. Huge deals every week.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marks. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marks, September 3rd, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
DraftKings Sports is live in all 50 states, and that means here in Michigan, 2 teams left, 1 trophy, every possession, every fourth quarter swing, every clutch shot. Game 4 is tonight. DraftKings Sports app is now live throughout the state, so whether you're catching tip-off at home or Game 7 at the bar, you're in on every minute, every game, every moment, all on one app. And that app is DraftKings Sports right here in Michigan. Finals right there in the palm of your hand. New DraftKings customers can sign up with the code HUGE and spend $5 to get $200 in rewards guaranteed. That code is HUGE. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Limited time offer, and there are certain eligibility restrictions that do apply. 21 years or older, Michigan only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.com/audio today.
I don't know if weird's the word, in this league. I think that was my 10th season. It's my 11th year now. Like, you get what you deserve to some extent, and whether that's good or bad. And, sure, our record was middle of the pack, but in our division, it was 4th place. And, that's what happens.
That's Jared Goff talking about his team last year. It just wasn't good enough. A text says it kills me how these guys refer to it as 4th place. Just call it last. Well, do you have to say, why is that? And that's kind of petty to me. If you want to get really technical, they finished tied for last because they were with Minnesota. They both had 9 and 8. Now Minnesota wins the tiebreaker, right? So Detroit isn't last, but what difference does it make? Everybody knows there's 4 teams per division. They finished in 4th place. You think it's hard for them to say last place? They know it. You know it. They're not insulting you. Welcome back. Jared Goff. There are 15 quarterbacks, according to CBS Sports, who most need a Super Bowl for their legacy. Where do you think Jared Goff ranks on this list? Where would you have him rank? And who do you think is number 1 on the list? Here's what they've done. Like, I would say Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson are 2 quarterbacks who need it more than anybody else. I would say it's not really that close. You could use the argument Justin Herbert. I think it'd be nice if he just got a playoff win. I would say Dak Prescott would be in that conversation too because of the money that he makes, all right? And he's put up really good regular season numbers, and he's never been to one. Joe Burrow's probably in the conversation, but he's at least been to a Super Bowl, losing to Matthew Stafford and the Rams. I would say Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen tied for 1. I would say Dak Prescott 3rd. I think Jared Goff is in the conversation too. How high? We probably give him a little bit more of a pass. Would he be higher than a Justin Herbert? At least Goff has been to one, right? But the question a lot of people may have is, if you've been to one and not won it, don't you think there is, quote unquote, more pressure on you to get there, get back and win it, considering you're in the latter stages of your career? 11 years, as he just mentioned during the soundbite. I would put Joe Burrow probably ahead of Jared Goff when it comes to that. So if I had to vote, it would be Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, / probably Jackson more than Allen, but pretty damn close. I'd put Dak Prescott up there at 3rd, Joe Burrow 4, Jared Goff 5. Where would you have Goff? Who would you have number 1? And where do you think they have him? I'll go in ascending order. They took 15 quarterbacks. I think it's stupid. At 15, they got Sam Darnold. I think that's flat out stupid. He just won one. So I don't know why the hell. It's changed his career forever and how people look at him. It's not a Trent Dilfer situation. It's not. He had a really good year. He threw for over 4,000 yards and completed 68% of his passes and had a really good playoff and beat a really good football team in the Rams. So I don't, the whole bust label is gone. 14, they have CJ Stroud. Okay. I mean, I don't know what people expect of CJ Stroud. I think he's been disappointing the last 2 years, maybe because he's had a great defense, but I think that's probably ranked. Brock Purdy at 13, I would say a little bit higher than that. Like they have Brock Purdy at 13, but Matthew Stafford at 12. Matthew Stafford has won a Super Bowl, is coming off an MVP season, just signed an extension to his contract, is considered a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, but he's already been there, done that. Brock Purdy's been there, hasn't done that. I doubt that Brock Purdy should be lower than Matthew Stafford, but that's how they have him ranked. At 11, they have Kyler Murray. I don't have Kyler Murray even on my bingo card, perhaps because I just don't view him as that type of player. They have Patrick Mahomes at 10. The dude's got 3 rings and 3 MVPs. How is he even on the list, right? At 9, they've got Jalen Hurts. Again, been there twice, had 2 really good games, and has a ring. I don't know how he can be ahead of Brock Purdy. That makes no sense to me. Jordan Love at 8. Okay. Guy's never won more than 9 games in a single season. The expectations in Green Bay are always high. Would you think Jordan Love is a Super Bowl quarterback? Probably not. Hasn't had a year where it makes you go, all right, this dude is totally in the MVP conversation and can easily lead his team to a Super Bowl. I don't see him as that type of player. From his resume so far, I haven't seen that. But they've got him ranked 8th. They've got Jared Goff 7. Here's what they write. Goff's career has been nothing short of an enigma, despite a successful run with the Rams that included a Super Bowl in 2018, traded to the Lions in a deal that sent Stafford to the Rams. Stafford won his elusive Super Bowl with the Rams, while Goff has enjoyed similar individual success in Detroit while leading the Lions' resurgence. In 2023, he defeated his former team while leading the Lions to their first playoff win in 32 years. But despite his continued success in Detroit, Goff remains overlooked among other quarterbacks in his era. That will likely remain Goff's lot in life unless he leads the Lions to their first ever Super Bowl title. If he leads them to a Super Bowl, I don't think that'll be his lot in life. I don't think he has to win it. He has to win it for his own, self-competitiveness, if you will. But I think he has been, look, somebody said this, we mentioned this yesterday, Bucky Brooks, NFL.com said he's the most underrated quarterback in the National Football League. I still think most people who follow the sport and are good at looking at what the sport means and what the position is, recognizes that Jared Goff's a top 10 quarterback. If you don't, then I don't know what you're looking at. I'm not saying he's the best, but he's a top 10 quarterback. At 6, they have Aaron Rodgers. Again, odd. Not that having a Super Bowl makes it any less pressure on you. But he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. You win the MVP as often as he has, 4 times. You win a Super Bowl. I think you're in pretty good company right now. So I would have him lower. Justin Herbert at 5. They've got Justin Herbert at 5. They have Dak Prescott at 4. They have Joe Burrow at 3. I think that's appropriate. Josh Allen at 2 and Lamar Jackson at 1. Who would you have at 1, Andy? Who would be the number 1 quarterback?
I think Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen would be it for me too. Like they'd be right there. It seems like that's one of the conversations every year coming into the year with those two. So
yeah, Jackson is also trying to bust a little bit of a label that says running quarterbacks can't win a Super Bowl, which I don't think is necessarily fair.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Patrick Mahomes has done it. I don't know if you'd consider him a running quarterback, but he sure as hell is a mobile one. Who's the last running quarterback? I don't know how you view running quarterback.
Yeah, I was going to say it depends because like Patrick Mahomes is still mobile. I know he's not like mainly a running quarterback, but he can get around. So yeah. I would consider him a running quarterback still.
Yeah, and the same thing with Josh Allen. Would you consider him a running quarterback?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, he's
really.
You don't think?
I I just think he's a phenomenal passer.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he can do it all. But he can throw on the run too.
Well, yeah, but doing it all and being a running quarterback is a little different. I don't know. That's an interesting debate. We'll continue that on the other side. Got to hit a quick timeout. We're back with more after this. Brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
In the den. It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. AJ Hinch has always preached in his years in Detroit that his teams take one game at a time. Not a great quote and perhaps a little bit cliche, but it is true. Knowing that, it's hard to suggest a series in early June is big, but considering what the Tigers have done against their AL Central foes, you might recognize why some believe this 3-game set against Minnesota is really important. Going into the rain-delayed Tuesday night first pitch, the Tigers were just 4-13 within the division, all 4 wins against Kansas City, by the way. That is by far the worst intra-division record of any team in the American League. In fact, only the Reds have a worse intra-division record in baseball. Considering the Tigers play 8 of their next 11 against AL Central teams, this sprint against the Twins is more vital than maybe you originally thought.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
35 after the hour. Welcome back. Just a reminder, DraftKings Sports live in all 50 states. And, of course, Michigan, 2 teams left, 1 trophy, every possession, every fourth quarter swing, every clutch shot you can catch in the palm of your hand on one app, and that is the DraftKings Sports app. It is right now in the state of Michigan. Finals are in the palm of your hand wherever you may be watching it, at home or maybe you're at the bar for Game 7. You can have everything you need with one app. It's the DraftKings Sports app. New DraftKings customers sign up with the code HUGE. Spend $5, get $200 in rewards guaranteed. That code is HUGE. It's in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 21 years or older. Michigan only. Eligibility restrictions do apply. Bonus bets do expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.com/audio for a limited time offer. We were talking just before the break about which quarterbacks do you view as runners or just mobile quarterbacks? Like, what is the difference? Let me ask you this. If I asked you who has more rushing yards in their career? Like if you're looking at running quarterbacks, would Russell Wilson qualify? Would Steve Young qualify? Because Russell Wilson is 4th all-time in rushing yards by a quarterback. Steve Young is 7th all-time. If I said to you, who has more rushing yards in a career, Steve Young or Josh Allen? It's Josh Allen. Does that mean that he's a running quarterback? I mean, Fran Tarkenton ranks 8th all-time in rushing yards by a quarterback, and he's 15th all-time in passing yards. When he retired as a Minnesota Viking, in whatever it was, 1978, he was at the time the all-time leader in passing yards in a career with 47,003 yards. Was he mobile or was he a running quarterback? That's the debate, right? If I asked you, Andy, do you know who Steve McNair is?
Yeah.
Remember him?
Yep.
Played at Elkhorn. Okay. He's a really good quarterback. Did he have more rushing yards or did Aaron Rodgers have more rushing yards?
I would say Aaron Rodgers, just based on his career, how much he ran. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we forget that. I think we forget how much Aaron Rodgers ran. And yet, when you look at it, Aaron Rodgers, in terms of all-time passing leaders, ranks 5th in passing yards anyway. He's not going to pass Brett Favre. Brett Favre is 4. It goes Manning, or no, I'm sorry. It goes Brady, Breeze, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, and then Aaron Rodgers. Now, Matthew Stafford is 6th, by the way. Matthew Stafford is going to pass. Well, it depends on how much Aaron Rodgers throws for this year. Matthew Stafford is going to play, in all likelihood, a couple of years, okay, barring injury. He will be, I would guess, he'll pass Aaron Rodgers. He'll be 5th in 2 years. If this is Rodgers last year, Stafford is going to pass him. But he'll never be confused as a running quarterback by any stretch. But Stafford is going to be number 5 all time. I don't think he's going to get enough for Favre. He's got to get over 6,000, maybe 2 years. Maybe he can do that. If he goes $3,000 in each of the next couple of years, yeah, I guess he could do that. Who's to say whether he will do that? Who's to put it beyond him, considering the weapons he has and the offensive-minded coach that he possesses? Hell, last year he threw for 4,700 yards. Year before, he threw for 3,700 yards. Each of the last 3 years, and remember, he was hurt in 2022. So this is a guy who, on average in his career, throws for 4,600 yards a season. If he does that over the next 2 years, granted, he's 38 this year, right? He could get there. Without a doubt, he could get there. I don't know. It's an interesting debate. Are you a running quarterback or are you just a mobile quarterback? What is the difference?
I mean, I feel like it's always been running as you just think run first. If you're talking about like Aaron Rodgers, yeah, sure, he ran for a lot of yards, but he picked the right times to run and he kind of set that up because of his arm. I feel like a lot of the times that he got free. Maybe sometimes it was just scrambling away from people, but it feels like maybe Josh Allen is kind of like similar. I think he's always thinking he wants to pass first, right? But if nothing's there and it breaks down, he's going to go find the yardage. So I feel like it's like if there's a lot of plays designed around you, running and doing like, fakes to run and stuff like that to get free, that might be running quarterback more than mobile quarterback.
Yeah, the designed runs.
Exactly.
The quarterback draws.
Remember when the spread offense
Allen
was
and
like a big
Jackson are
thing?
more like that, right?
In college football.
Both Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are like that.
Yeah.
I think Fran Tarkenton ran because he was scrambling his ass off and he just, ran for first downs and so on and so forth. And I think the same thing with Rodgers. Maybe that's unfair. Look, John Elway rushed for over 3,400 yards in his career. You would never consider him a running quarterback, would you? I mean,
I don't think so. No,
okay.
I wouldn't think of that first. No.
He's rushed for more yards than Patrick Mahomes. He's rushed for more yards than Kyler Murray. Now, he played a lot longer than Kyler Murray. But John Elway, when I think of John Elway, I think of his right arm. I mean, he's got a gun for crying out loud.
Yeah, right.
He had one of the greatest arms the league has ever seen. It's amazing what he could do. Go back and watch some of his. You want to have some fun? Go back and watch some of his high school football highlights. Unreal how far he could throw the football. Let me get to the final results of the poll question. And I want to get the daily wager as well. I do have one quick question about the Tigers, if they should follow suit with this team. We'll get to that here in a moment. The Mitch Lyons poll question that we have for you today that we'll answer tomorrow. Who has been the Tigers' best hitter so far? Dylan Dingler, Kevin McGonigal, or Riley Green? It's a good poll question. Yesterday, we asked you this. Should the Pistons bring back Tobias Harris? Yes, but only on a one-year deal. Yes, on a multi-year contract. Or no, it is time to move on. Just get rid of Unk. What did people say?
The leading vote was bring back the 1 year deal, let it 60%. Multi-year contract was 12%, and move on from him was 28%.
Oh, so it's either a 1 year deal, then it's move on. Only a very handful of people said multi-year contract.
Yeah.
I would say the 1 year deal, depending on how much the 1 year deal is. But I think he's a valuable piece. He would be even more valuable coming off the bench.
I think so too. If you can get him coming off the bench, I think it's a great piece. And he's still you're keeping that leadership in the room that they liked so much last year too. So
agreed. I think this team is at a point now where it's got other leaders.
Right.
But I do think that's an important piece. He's a calming effect.
Yeah, exactly. He's got the presence.
I use that phrase. Leadership is fine. Cade Cunningham's the leader of this basketball team.
Yeah. At the end of the day, yeah.
I don't know what exactly he's learning from guys like Tobias Harris. He's learned a lot of things off the court from Tobias Harris. And I like Tobias Harris a lot. I would bring him back on a 1 year deal. It would be great if you could trade for a guy like Trey Murphy, have him in your starting rotation, and bring a guy like, think of how good this team would be if Tobias Harris and Duncan Robinson came off the bench for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, JB Bickerstaff always kept calling him just like a pro. He's just a pro.
Yeah.
That's what
he knows how to handle himself.
Yeah, you would like that. And I think that he would accept that role of coming off the bench just based off the person that he is. I think he would want to win here too. So that'd be cool.
I don't know. I don't know how he'd accept that role. I'm sure at this stage of his career, he wants to win a championship. He thinks he can win a championship. But don't kid yourself. When you've started as long as he has,
yeah, it's hard.
Guys like that feel like, you know what? I can be a reason we are winning a championship. And you view the bench role as a little different role. We'll have to wait and see, but I do think he plays an important part to this team's success. So I think we're in agreement there. So vote as often as you want on our latest poll question, the best hitter in the Tigers lineup so far. Dingler, McGonigal, Green. Vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. I've retweeted what Andy tweeted out this morning. So hope you can get an opportunity there. I read something yesterday about the San Diego Padres, who are a team that, for a team that spends as much money as they do, and unfortunately that's what it comes back to, a lot of time comes back to payroll, for them to be just a couple of games over 500 in the red when it comes to run differential, that's not a good thing, by the way, and losers of 8 of their last 10, 8.5 back in the division, I would guess most people there in San Diego are more than disappointed. The question would then be, are they going to, at the trade deadline, be a buyer or a seller? Now, we've got a long way before the trade deadline, August 3rd, right? So you almost have 2 full months. So it's probably not fair to think about this. But because A.J. Preller's a really aggressive general manager. I don't know how people feel about that. I know you'd like your general managers to be a lot more aggressive. He's uber aggressive. He's not afraid to get rid of prospects. Personally, I like established players. I like young established players. I know that sounds, Pollyannish, but there are certain guys who, Bobby Witt Jr., for example, would have never gotten rid of him as a prospect. He didn't get a chance to be a prospect very long. He was up in the show almost right away. And look at how good he's been. Dylan Dingler's a pretty good example of it too. Takes a while as a catcher to learn some things. It's like defensemen in hockey. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine last night. People are not thrilled with Simon Edvinsson so far. Hockey, it takes a while. Okay. Rasmus Dahlin was the number 1 overall pick by Buffalo. It took a while before he became a consistent all-star type player. So you want to give Simon Edvinsson a little bit of leeway.
It's not like he's been horrible either. I don't think Simon's been like a terrible. I think he's got some potential.
Well, yeah, but so potential.
I understand Quinn Hughes should be over him, but
yeah, I'm just saying when you look at potential, he's a first-line defenseman. Okay. First line defenseman, a plus 12 for a team that is just kind of okay. He's been a plus 12 player in each of the last 2 years. There's nothing wrong with that. He's not going to be up for any Norris Trophy awards.
Right.
Okay. So what I'd like to see, he become a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more offensively gifted, and a guy who can log a little bit. Well, I guess 22 minutes per game is not bad. It's not bad at all. I think he's going to get compared to, Mo Sider. I have to keep in mind with all this stuff, he's 23 years old. Okay. So anyway, Dylan Dingler has been, I like young established players. I think he's already established himself as a hell of a player so far. But San Diego is a team that is probably going to be aggressive at the trade deadline. It's a team it's the bad offense. At one point earlier this week, I think Monday, I did some research. They were hitting .214 as a team. Their batting average, their batting average on base and slug was 30th in Major League Baseball. They were last in runs scored.
That makes no sense with that.
It doesn't make any sense, does it? Okay. The only hitters who are getting regular playing time and who were playing well, getting decent in those 3 years, Gavin Sheets and Ty France, for crying out loud.
Wow.
Okay. I like Jackson Merrill. I think he's a phenomenal player. A friend of mine over the weekend said, would you trade Max Clark, and he gave me a few other names, for Mason Miller? And I said, I want everyday players. Why would San Diego want a guy like Max Clark when they've got, Jackson Merrill? Jackson Merrill struggled this year. Jackson Merrill's a really good baseball player, you guys. He's a hell of a player. And look at him in the playoffs and what he was able to do. I like him a lot. And he's an all-star. And he won a Silver Slugger. And he's only 20 years. Well, I don't know. How old is he? He's not 20, is he? He's 21. No, he's 23. He's 23. He came in as a 20-year-old, is what I'm thinking of. Okay. So he's 23 years old. He's already won a Silver Slugger, and he was an all-star. And that was in his rookie season, I might add, where he batted .292. He's gone down in each of the last 2 years, and he struggled this year. It shows you the challenges that young players can have. Sure as hell aren't giving up on a guy like that, are you? Hell no. Fernando Tatis Jr. struggling. Manny Machado really struggling. But at one point batting a $170. At one point he was batting just a little bit below Zach McKinstry. Yet he's making $350 million. Okay? So bad contracts. At least we view them as bad contracts right now. Rotation isn't great and everything. But the point is, they're going to buy at the trade deadline. In all likelihood, that's who A.J. Preller is. Is that what the Tigers should do? For us, it's more of a wait and see type situation. But I'll tell you this, Detroit's division and the league is a hell of a lot more convenient for the Tigers than the NL West is for the Padres and the National League is for the Padres. It's about that mindset, right? Let's get to the Daily Wager. The Daily Wager brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort and their sportsbook Ascend. Phenomenal place for tonight to watch Game 4 of the NBA Finals and watch the Tigers and Twins at the same time because they got all these great TVs, great beer specials, and really good food. It's Ascend inside Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. How did you do last night with the Daily Wager that involved the Stanley Cup Finals, and what do you got tonight?
I picked Jordan Stahl, so that was a pretty good player to pick. I took his
goals, baby.
I took him just to get 2 shots on goal because they were giving you plus money for that. He had 4 shots on goal and he had 2 goals. So that was
awesome.
That one.
You're on a roll.
Water. Yeah, no,
You're on a roll.
I try not to think about it too much because the first week was so bad for me of doing this. I think I went 1-4, and since then I think I've only missed 1 or 2, so it's been pretty good. But again, I'm going with the field tonight in the NBA, but I'm not going with the win or loss. I'm going with Jalen Brunson to score 30 points. He's done it his last 2 or 3 games, and I just feel like tonight he's going to be asked a lot to score, especially late in this game if it stays close, and they're giving you a plus 113 for that. So I'm going to take him to score 30.
Yeah, his shooting percentage hasn't been very good in the finals the last couple of games.
And I like him to break that. There's just certain trends you think eventually good players are going to get to, and he's a good player. So I think he's going to get it done tonight.
Is he a top 5 point guard in the NBA?
I mean, he's right there. He's right there for sure. I'd have to think about the whole list and look at it probably before I said yes or no, but he's right there. You could definitely argue it.
Somebody asked me that the other day. I know we don't have much time left in the show. Maybe we can get into it. But somebody said, is he a top 5 point guard? And I had to think for a minute. I guess we have to figure out who there is no traditional point guard anymore. But do we just measure him against guards? Do I measure him against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Do I measure him against Anthony Edwards and Jalen Brunson and Luka Doncic and Cade Cunningham? Those guys all have the ball in their hands a lot. Jamal Murray's considered a guard, but Luka Doncic Nikola Jokic has the ball in his hands more. So how do we look at it? I know this. He's a damn good player, and you want him on your team.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Anybody that is denying that just for whatever reason has a beef with them. So
yeah, it's just being a hater. That's all it is. Thanks to Andy McDonald. Thanks to you for checking us out on streaming live on YouTube and Facebook and X. Thanks for the text. We appreciate it. We're back with you tomorrow morning, 6:00 here across the great state of Michigan on the Michigan Sports Network. Don't forget, later on today from 3 until 7, Bill Simonson, the award-winning Huge Show taking place on these same great station affiliates. We're back with you tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, everybody. Thanks for giving us a chance.
We're fortunate here in Michigan. We have some of the greatest golf courses in the country. Tullymore and St. Ives is part of the reason we can brag the way we do about our golf. Once you visit Tullymore, you'll keep coming back. The view is breathtaking. The golf is fantastic. The accommodations are regal, and the people